Okay. Shit, I'm gonna fat ass get up in here. Time to get it cracking. Time to get comfy. I feel like all my good energy has been drained. It's now gone. But if you're watching, thank you for tuning in. It's the Meaningful Jackson Show. We are live. Well, this recording is not live, but I'm live on the station. It's November 12th. We are ready to rock and roll. It is not cold in here. I just have the hood on top of the hat because why the fuck not? What are they listening to? They're listening to some old school Fabulous with T-Pain. That's that Baby Don't Go. That's how we're starting off the show. Man, let me intro this shit real quick. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy is back. It's Tuesday, November 12th. You are now tuned in to the Meaningful Jackson Show. We are live on Track Talk Radio. Man, feels good to be here with y'all. Let's get back into the music, man. I just wanted to make sure I introed the show, but we're going to let a couple songs play, and then we're going to get right into it. Let's get it cracking. So anyway, it's Tuesday. I'm here every Tuesday, every Thursday. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Shit, man. Last week we had a wild couple of shows. There was a lot of stuff going on, but most of the time was spent just dragging other people and talking about a bunch of stuff that was just outrageous. Let me go back and look at some of the notes. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can tell you, like last Thursday, we talked about marital rape. I had people really trying to tell me that that was a non-issue and that it wasn't a big deal and that it's not a thing and that we're all just imagining it. Because for some strange reason, man is supposed to rule all, do whatever the hell they want, and apparently that includes also raping a spouse while they're not in the mood or whatever. I mean, and it goes both ways: women to men, men to women, whatever. We talked about Omarion and the struggles that he's going through as a young black man in America. It's nothing legal. It's nothing racial. He's just having problems with his homies smashing his baby moms and his mother. So his mom and baby mom are all getting they're being shared amongst other friends and family. It's an awkward situation. Let's see. What we talk about on Tuesday? We talked about, holy smokes, let me see. We talked about Trent Williams. He's an offensive lineman for the Washington Redskins and some of his struggles. Update on him. He ended up going on the IR for the rest of the season, it looks like, or he's on some list where he can't play. It seems like the team is trying to probably put him in between a rock and a hard place with the fact that, he had a cancer scare and then there's issues with the team doctor. It's just a whole thing. So we talked about that. We talked about the Trump supporter having his kids dressed up in that whack-ass Halloween costume. That was so terrible. But other than that, it was a long week of just dragging people. Oh, and then like the big thing we talked about was Popeye's chicken sandwich mania, which continues to be, it's an annoyance for the world. And it's making the black community look especially stupid. It's making all communities look stupid. I feel like if you're participating in the mayhem that is the Popeye's chicken sandwich, you are contributing to the terror. You're making this thing, which is just a sandwich. You're making it so big that, like, when people are lined up for this thing, the second somebody cops an attitude, they're at risk of being a part of some sort of like violent interaction all over a sandwich. And we have white folks who are just going off the freaking handle, and over the sandwich is when they're letting their true emotions show. They're calling people the N-word using hard R. They're not using that A. Not that it makes a difference, but I mean, we seen an employee body slam an old lady. Looked like her whole arm was just off, bro. That shit was crazy. This is like y'all getting slammed and beat up because y'all are calling people the N word at Popeyes, which is just a big mistake because the majority of Popeyes, clientele is African Americans. You can't expect to go to a place that sells fried chicken and grape sodas and shit and watermelon and all that shit and expect that you're gonna be able to say the N word and that nothing is gonna happen to you. Now, what I said is very stereotypical. I don't think that Popeye sells any type of watermelon or grape sodas. I'm sure if they do have grape soda, it's all because the company that provides them with their soda services offers it. Now, if they opt into that, that means they probably are going along with the stereotypes and trying to make sure that their Negroes get their grape Kool-Aid. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes it's not, and I say Kool-Aid. They're not serving grape Kool-Aid out of there. I'm tripping, bro. It would end up being a soda. It's not going to be a juice. It's not going to be grape drink like that janky ass shit you get from Walmart. It's not going to be none of that. So what I said was kind of just me being a dick. Don't read too much into that. But we talked about that. There's just all kinds of stuff. So that is our recap of last week. We're back this week. There's new stuff. There's always going to be drama in the world. As much as I don't want to spend time highlighting all the drama that goes on, it just kind of is what it is. It makes for the best content. It also gives me the opportunities for some pretty good jokes. And it's just the type of stuff that people on my timeline and the interactions that I have with people on a daily basis, it's what we are all talking about. Usually it's these situations. I'm not usually talking about some things that I haven't already spoken with someone else about. Or been engaged in a conversation. So one of the things we were going to dive into, but there's a part of me that feels like it may not be worth talking about quite yet. It's definitely worth talking about, but I don't know if it's in my best interest to talk about it too much. It's going to be the moon landing, because I haven't done as much research as I would like, but I have some serious questions about the damn moon landing. So they're listening to another song. Let me get into the show and then we'll talk about it. Okay. Your boy is back. Man, let me cut this off. Just cut the damn music off. This is the Memeco Jackson Show. We are live on Track Talk Radio. Your boy Memeco is in the building. Man, it's been a long time since I said that. Man, what day is it? It is Tuesday, November 12th. It feels like we're already breezing through November, which is not a shock. I feel like time, although some days it feels like this shit is dragging, time is definitely flying by. Shout out to all our veterans. We had Veterans Day yesterday. I definitely want to, give a shout out. I know a lot of people who served in the military and now are veterans. There's members of my family. Shout out to my mom. My mom was in the service. Shout out to, no, I'm not going to shout out my dad, but shout out to him as a military man. Thank you for your service. All the people who have served and who allow us to have these opportunities, like the opportunity that I have right now to sit in this room, talk a bunch of shit through a microphone onto some radio channel. I say onto Track Talk Radio, baby. But thank you to all the veterans, because they allow people like me who are hella corny to get on and do bullshit like this, while there's people over there, taking shifts and watching each other's backs and making sure they don't get ambushed by, whoever we're over there battling or wherever we're at. So shout out to y'all, man. Y'all do the hard work. You guys are the real heroes. I don't know, man. It's crazy because, like I said, we're just breezing through November. Shit, I almost said October, fam, because that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm still in October. But we're almost to Christmas time. I know people are getting ready for their Black Friday shopping, which is going to be a nightmare. I'm surprised people still do that. I mean, with all the advancements in technology and you can just buy everything online, why are y'all really getting hyped up to go stuff your face at your Thanksgiving lunch and then rush over to Target by 5 or 6 p.m. that Thursday just so you can get a TV? Why? And if you're not really setting yourself up to get that new 216-inch TV, Why are you doing a Black Friday thing? There's no point. That's the only TV worth buying. I know there's video games and all kinds of stuff on the line, but it's like, yo, people going all out just to get these Christmas gifts. One thing I do not like about the holiday season is I do not like the people who wait until December 23rd to try to get all of their Christmas shopping done. And then they got the nerve to be mad at other people who are just at the mall or at stores just shopping just to shop. Y'all can't be mad because it's not like you didn't know this time of year was coming. It happens every year. Act like you've been there before. Because we got people every year, it seems like I'm always running into somebody, some sorry ass lady at a store who's rushing to get all these presents because she's got like 19 family members she has to shop for. It's like, lady, you've had these same 19 family members for how long? December has hosted the holiday season and hosted Christmas for how fucking long? Yeah, I'm bleeping out my own cuss words now because I just feel like that's the right thing to do, and I don't know how to operate the buttons on the thing that I'm using on a laptop. But anyway, we've been dealing with this for how fucking long, and y'all are just now acting like you remember that you gotta buy all these gifts. If you go to the store, please don't be surprised if you end up on a video getting knocked out by somebody, because that's just kind of the space that we're in. Which kind of leads me to my next topic. Again, I feel like I'm kind of just addressing minorities in a sense, because I just want to let y'all know it's not worth it to kick these people's ass out front of Popeyes over no chicken sandwich, man. I did not want to get into this, but after Thursday's show, I think it was like the next day, maybe Friday or Saturday, we had another video pop up where a staff member body slammed this old lady. Now, the old lady's not off the hook. Lady, you had it coming. I understand you were hungry, you wanted to get a sandwich, you got frustrated, but calling the staff names, doing the racial slur thing, like we were at a time, and well, I think we've been at this time. People are fed up. The thing is that now people are getting to the point where they don't really care about the consequences so much anymore because they're tired of y'all. They want y'all to learn a lesson. Y'all are adults. It's 2019. You have the opportunity to change your mindset, adjust your behavior. You're an adult. I don't think anyone's gonna, we're gonna do everything we can to redirect a child who, falls into this habit of wanting to use these slurs and direct them at people when they're angry and so on and so forth. But for all the adults, most of you, if you had enough sense to go out and try to seek and find this chicken sandwich, you had enough patience to wait in line, or some patience, you have the intelligence to operate a vehicle, you can get to and from your house without, many complications on your own. If you're able to do all these things, you're able to control yourself while you're in public and not shout out racial obscenities at people. I think you're able to do that. Now, for this old lady on this video, if you've seen the video, she gets slammed pretty damn hard. Now, I know Buddy's definitely losing his job at Popeyes, but WWE, if you're listening, if anybody from wrestling is listening, my man has potential, all right? He hit her with the scoop up and then quick little slam. He didn't look like he hurt his knees or back or anything. I think it might be a call you should make. You're looking at a future star of the WWE or any low-level wrestling leagues that maybe you're looking for some people. I was thinking of some names for him. The first obvious one is Popeye's man. No disrespect to him, but I didn't get his name. He had on a work shirt. He came storming out of the building, and then he gave the lady the slam. So I figured Popeye's man in that moment seemed fitted. You could call him two-piece. I think that's good. But the logo on his shirt has to be a drumstick, or better yet, it has to be the chicken sandwich, because that's how he ended up transcending into this new career, if that's where this takes him. This is all going to be because of a chicken sandwich. So I think he should wear an outfit that just has an emblem on the front where it's the Popeye's chicken sandwich. So Popeye's man or two-piece, or, I don't know. What are some other things on the menu at Popeye? They call him Little Biscuit. Nah, that sounds like something your grandma calls you. I don't know. We'll continue to brainstorm and workshop some names for him. But either way, minorities are looking extra foolish because we're really beating people up over chicken sandwiches. I don't feel bad saying that because I feel like it needs to be said. Literally there's a tape of y'all beating up each other over the damn sandwich. You had employees beating up another employee because Buddy was out back trying to sling the sandwiches. And I don't understand why the other employees really got mad at him. He not really hurting y'all. He's hurting Popeyes, selling behind their back, doing whatever it is he's doing. He's not hurting y'all. He's only hurting himself and the company. But either way, you know what it is. Those people at Popeyes are working their asses off. They're dealing with these angry customers. So that's probably why they wanted to start whooping on his ass. So that part, I don't feel too bad for the young man about, because he probably had that coming. If you're going to try to make money on the side, you should probably clue in your coworkers, or at least the ones that you know have hands. That way they don't whoop your ass while you're on your shift. If anything, devise some fees to make yourself your own boss. This is an opportunity to become an entrepreneur and build a business, employ staff, do all these things. But this ended up where it was just you getting your ass whooped because you got greedy. So, black people, it's not worth it. Have you seen Undercover Brother? Remember how the man tried to get all the black people hooked just on chicken? Come on, man. What do you think they're doing to y'all? Don't eat that damn sandwich. I mean, eat it if it's free and you don't have to wait in line if you're hungry and there's nothing else to eat. But please do not allocate and dedicate time of yours, precious time that you will never get back. Do not give that to Popeyes. Don't give them the satisfaction, because if you end up getting stabbed at your local Popeyes or end up getting your ass whooped over a chicken sandwich and a medium French fry, the company doesn't care because they're still going to take your funky ass $10. Remember, it's just a sandwich. There's no reason to get your ass whooped over a sandwich. But anyway, so we're dealing with a lot of wild ass violence over petty ass things. And there's a part of me that just is, I'm absolutely disgusted. But then there's the other part of me that's like, yeah, I love seeing people act stupid for no damn reason. Like, I'm sorry. If you catch me on video fighting, it's probably because somebody was really pushing the limits and maybe they got too close and maybe they put their hands on me, whatever the case may be. You're not gonna see me on a tape arguing with somebody in the line at some type of restaurant. It would be likely that it might be this teriyaki spot that's down the street from my place, because that shit is lit. But outside of that, I'm not gonna be in the line of a fast food restaurant fighting over sandwiches. That cannot happen. That shit is crazy. Let's see. What else do we got, man? I want to get off this Popeyes thing, because one thing I want to start talking about, and I have serious questions. And I might even bring my homeboy James on the show, because I know how passionate he is about this topic. We talked about this the other day while my man was cutting my hair, and the topic is the moon landing. Now, I want to tell you what my stance is before we try to even jump into any of this, because outside of what I learned about the moon and NASA and all that in school growing up, which is very minimal, and I don't remember most of it because none of that shit interests me, so I don't care to retain that information. I replaced those type of things in my brain with useless sports facts and song lyrics. It's the same thing with math. But based on what I know is that sometime in the 60s, we went to the moon, or so somebody says. Now, my question is just off top, and I'm not somebody who's I'm not claiming to be overly intelligent. I'm not an Einstein type of nigga. I'm just somebody that I can remember a lot of stuff, and if somebody tells me the information, if I find it valuable or interesting, I can retain it enough to say it back to you. And it probably won't come out the perfect way. It's gonna be like that game Telephone. It'll be all kinds of effed up. But if you're able to sift through all the little nuggets and everything that I'm dropping on you, these little gems, then you'll be able to figure out what's real and what's not. based on what I know, we went to the moon. But my first question is, why the F haven't we been back since then? I'm confused because nowadays I can operate the TV in another room that I'm not even in with my cell phone while making a call, also filing my taxes, and probably having an Uber delivered, or whatever the case may be. You can do all of these things. Cars start by themselves, they drive by themselves. We have all these advancements in technology, but yet we haven't been back to the moon. Now, again, this is coming from somebody who has very little to no, closer to no knowledge about the moon. Now, I have heard some interesting things. So, as we go through the next couple of weeks, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this, because I'm actually going to dive in and I'm going to research a lot of this stuff. Now, some of the stuff that I have heard that has been confirmed to me, and I've heard it come out of multiple people's mouths on multiple platforms, so I feel like it's safe for me to say this and not sound like a complete idiot. When I heard recently that NASA, or hold on, let me make sure I'm saying this right. And anybody who actually knows can feel free to check me and correct me. But basically what I was told, I'm being shown this documentary while I'm getting my hair all faded up and all that shit. And what I'm told from this documentary, from this lady who does a whole lot of research, and she checks in with all the people. She's gone to other countries, found all these old ledgers and books, and interviewed people who were part of this. But it sounds like one of the ways that NASA kind of got started was by taking all the smartest scientists who were basically Nazis. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are going to be like, oh, duh, you didn't know that? And I'm like, yes, nigga, I did not know that, because that's not shit that interests me. But now I'm intrigued. Mainly because I'm trying to figure out how you have people that, if they were alive today, they would, for 100% sure, be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. But yet we had them basically setting up and organizing NASA, and running the program, creating the program. And these are also the same people that helped, do the whole mass genocide thing. That's weirdo shit to me, because it literally means that you guys chose to put the idea of space travel ahead of actual lives, and all of this type of stuff. It's similar stuff to what our country does now. Do we care about people getting murdered all the time, or do we care about maybe figuring out how to turn yourself gold at a moment's notice? I'm sure there are people who care more about the potential idea of becoming purely made out of gold than actually fixing the problem that is, our prison system, the fact that Flint doesn't have water. We have all of these situations that are going on, obviously the cops and murdering and doing all that, and then we have, a phony, corny ass president. We have all of these things, but yet at one point or another, we were hella cool with just putting random ass people in positions to really impact and change the course of our history. Now, some of the stuff that I've been hearing is pretty insane, because one of the guys that they had kind of in charge of all this is somebody who, what did he do? He figured out how to basically he created fertilizer. I'm not going to say all the fancy names. I remember there was the word nitrogen thrown in there. Something about how he extracted it from something, pulled it from something, created fertilizer. But this is also the same guy who, he created a gas to help gas people, but there was a smell inside of it to let you know when it was happening. And then apparently the crackheads, aka the Nazis or whoever, somebody who was trying to do evil, I think they said it was Germany. I don't know, man. I'm just repeating what the documentary said because I'm freaked out right now. But apparently they took what he created and they took out the little thing that made it smell, because they don't want people to smell the gas, because they want to use it on somebody without their knowledge. And then that brings you to all the Holocaust stuff. And so finessing people into thinking that they're just gonna go for a quick shower and then putting them in that chamber and then using that gas. That's crazy that we recruited that guy and gave him basically some sanctuary to come over and help our space program. So our government basically was saying like, hey, it's not a big deal if you've been a part of, the second worst type of, I don't know if it's second, but it's up there as far as genocide is concerned. But I say, even though you were a part of that, we still want to give you an opportunity to help us go to space, because that's more important. If a person is responsible for murdering thousands of people, why are we giving them opportunities to try to help advance some random program that probably is not necessary to our well-being? And I only say that because I just look at things like, on a scale of something to something, how important is going to the moon as opposed to like getting people in Flint clean water? It's not important at all, right? I think most people would agree. Our people deserve water more than they deserve to have knowledge and information about what another planet looks like. Fam, unless this shit turns into Star Wars, none of us are ever going to another planet. The amount of school and things that you have to go through to be a part of the NASA and do all that, I'm only willing to bet that it's much more detailed and all that kind of stuff than most jobs that you get. So it's not likely that a lot of us are going to be able to go to space, which is one of the reasons why I didn't care about it. But what piqued my interest is this thing called Operation something Paperclip. Now I'm going to look into this so we can dive into this over the next few shows, because I have some serious questions. But like I said, my first one is, how the F we going to let Nazis come over here to operate the space program and then basically just let them off and dismiss the fact that they committed these heinous ass crimes and let them go live in places like Argentina and like other countries and just be like, hey, as long as you do us the solid with the space shit and help us build up this NASA thing, then we're going to be all good. So they really had people who were a part of, murdering tons and tons of innocent people. They really had them leading, and sometimes there was one guy who was super high up in the Nazi situation. Like, what I'm talking about, he's like, if they're all sitting at a table and Hitler's like seat 1, the dude they had was like within the first like 5 or 6 seats. Like, he's that close to Hitler. And they had him. They brought him over here to help out with the space program. Like, and it's just these scientists. They basically were like, look, we're not going to kill you or hang you or do nothing like that. We're going to let you come to America. And if you scratch our back, we'll scratch ours. Sounds shady, right? So little things like this are what keep me in a space where I don't think it's crazy to think that the U.S. government is constantly trying to pull the wool over our eyes, or that they do shady shit. It's very likely. So anyone who sits around and pretends that some of these little conspiracies are just theories and nothing else, man, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I used to be somebody who would be like, well, no, of course we went to the moon, because I read that in the textbook. That's what they do when you're a little kid. They just tell you, read this damn book, and this is what it is. It's the same way that they kind of are starting to try to erase Black history from textbooks and not teaching kids about that. Because why would you want your people to know about how their ancestors were very shitty ass humans? Or the other side is that, why would you want kids to know how poorly their ancestors were treated? They're trying to erase that shit. I think it's important that we, keep that kind of stuff in there. But I also think it's important that we got to stop all this lying. So all these people who have this information, we got to get this stuff out, man. Especially some of these people who are really going to the extent that they do to track down this information to provide it to the public. Because what happens is a lot of these people end up coming up missing. That's what happens. It's similar to, the Epstein thing. If my man's about to uncover a pedophile ring, you really think people are going to let that type of shit happen? Come on, man. Look at the history of this country. Now, look, I love it here. I know that it's way better than other places. I'm not tripping about that. But it would be irresponsible of me to pretend like some of the stuff that you see in movies and like some of the conspiracies that you hear, it'd be naive of me to think that that shit doesn't exist. Now, I feel like we have an obligation to ourselves and the people around us to do our best to keep it real. Some of this moon landing shit seems sketchy, man. Now, I'm telling you, for the longest time, I was a firm believer that it did happen. And now, based on some of the hard to deny type of things that I've seen, I'm not going to say it's evidence, because when you use the word evidence, it implies that it has to be real, because that's just the type of weight that the word evidence carries. I'm not saying evidence because I don't know if even what I'm being told or what I've heard from multiple people, I don't know if that's real. So, we got a lot of stuff to get into when it comes to this moon landing shit. And then we might venture off into all kinds of conspiracies, man. Like the Area 51 thing. I always just thought that was a big joke. But now I'm really starting to think, like, what if they just got aliens in there kicking it? Like, what if there's an alien in a room and they got him locked down and he's 24-hour observation, and Buddy's just so advanced that he's just probably in there playing like Xbox or something, and they probably got him hooked on nasty ass American food. He probably looks like Jabba the Hutt right now because he's just been in there so long. Because your average alien probably has to live between 400 and 500 light years. How many years is that in regular years? Like few thousand. So I don't know anything about light years, but I'm just saying that by now he's got to be an Americanized alien. So it's probably some fat alien looking thing that just plays Xbox all day. I'm willing to bet that that's the situation. And they probably just got that shit back there hiding. And if that's not the situation, they probably have real information on UFOs and aliens and all that shit, and they're afraid to tell people. Same thing I hear about like medicines and disease. They say they got all these cures. Like, I mean, Dr. Sebi, apparently he had and has had the cure for HIV for mad long. But the government will lead you to believe that that doesn't exist. But why wouldn't they tell you that when the whole point is to help make sure that the pharmaceutical companies continue to line their pockets? How do they keep the pockets lined if they don't have you believing that some of this shit is real? There is no cure. So you have to continue to put money into medications and all these things. I'm not saying I'm going either way. Right now I'm in the middle, but I'm saying some of this stuff has to be thought about, man. This is not going to turn into a conspiracy show, but I'm just giving you the stuff that I think about. I've talked to people about this, and like I said, I don't know what to believe. Because my thing is if we can go to the moon, why y'all don't just go next week? Like, what's cracking next week? Like, NASA don't really have like the time to go to the moon. Your whole thing is space travel. So like, what are y'all doing? Now I don't know. Someone might reach out to me and be like, "Fam, everybody in NASA is just up somewhere on a satellite chilling, and they might be doing that." But my thing is I haven't heard anybody just be like, "Yo, yeah, on the calendar we got Mars on the 31st, and then we're going from there to Pluto December 17th, and then by January 15th we'll be on the moon." Like we need it to be like that. Y'all got to stop pretending like y'all don't have all of these, opportunities if this shit is so real. Now, if it's fake, just come out and be like, "Look, we didn't go. We made it up, and we didn't think any of y'all were going to be smart enough to figure that shit out. But the gig is up," or the jig, I don't know what they call it. The something is up. Y'all figured it out. We're not going to lie about it anymore. And let people be upset for a little bit. There's so many things that happen on a daily basis. We'll forget all about that moon landing shit in like 2 weeks. We're going to make some memes about it, crack some jokes, and then we'll let some people get fired from their job, lose some of their like accolades and awards that we've been giving them over the years. Somebody need to whoop Buzz Aldrin's old ass, whoop everybody that was a part of that, and then we'll move on from it. If it's fake, just say it's fake. But if it's real, prove it now. Just go up there in a couple weeks, man. You don't gotta like hang out. Just drive by, snap us a couple of real photos, some shit that you can literally like hit the the share button immediately, right when you snap it, or right when you get into where some service is. So right when you get back into orbit, excuse me. Make sure you share those photos and do it to where everybody can see it. Create like a NASA Instagram account or some shit like that. Or better yet, you could probably stream that shit live. Don't we be talking to people that's up there and it be kind of live? Like, if y'all have those capabilities, prove it. That's all I'm saying. Now, if they've already been doing that, hey, y'all just have to let me know. I'm not someone who watches the news like that because that shit is depressing. All they do on the news is highlight all the horrible shit that happens in our country day to day, which is literally exactly what I'm doing on this freaking show. I just realized that. You know what? Maybe I'll start watching the news a little bit. But another reason why I don't watch is because they have these people looking like some damn fools on these shows, man. The way they be dressing and how horrible their voices sound. I can't get down with it. It don't seem real. Everything about the news seems a little bit fake to me. And it's entertainment too. I feel like some of it is like, well, you just want us to laugh, or you just want us to be scared, or you're trying to force the tears out of people. I don't know what it is, but the news is not something for me. But if y'all know that NASA's about to pull up on the moon pretty soon, give me those dates so I can mark that on my calendar. I want to be able to see that, all right? But listen, we're going to jump into a short break. This is the end of our moon landing talk for tonight, but we'll be back on Thursday with more moon landing information, and I'm going to dive in deep tomorrow and Thursday, and I'm going to get all these little facts, and I'm going to shout them out on the show. I'm going to be sounding smart as hell. But listen, man, there's just so many questions. Is it fake or is it real? Tell me what you think. So we're going to get on to this little break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to tell you about some of the responses I got to our question last week where I said, how much fupa is too much fupa? Because we got a lot of people out there that have these things. Listen, I'm not body shaming anybody. I'm a big dude myself. It happens. People are big. Be happy with the skin that you have, the body that you're in. It could always be so much worse. Now, we also have these things called gyms. So you can't get upset if people are saying stuff and then you're not doing anything to take care of yourself. Like if you're doing what I do, which is eat shit all day, you can't be sitting around saying how fat you are. Now, I'm somebody who does that. My fat ass needs to go to the gym. It is what it is. We're not body shaming anybody. But if you got a big ass fupa, you need to rock that shit, man. Just be proud of it. Because unless you go to the gym, you're not getting rid of it. So you might as well embrace it. Some of y'all probably should give those damn things names, maybe. It's like having a third grader wrapped around your waist. It is what it is. I'm not shaming anybody. But our question last week was, how much fupa is too much fupa? So we're about to get into this music. You're going to hear some I-15, maybe some, I don't know, some Trick Daddy, maybe some 8-Ball MJG. We got all kinds of stuff. You might even hear J-Kwon tonight. Not that tipsy shit. It's going to be hood hop because that's the cut. But anyway, you are tuned into the Meaningful Jackson Show. I am your host, Meaningful Jackson. Holla at your boy. Let's get this music crack-a-lackin'. I'm telling you, man. I don't know how I feel about the moon landing. It doesn't seem real, bro. That's my thing now. How did y'all go when we had hardly any type of cool technology? And now we got all the cool shit. And no one's just up there living, like no one's up there like in a motorhome or something, just driving around. Come on, man. Y'all gotta do better. Something is up. I'm drinking my tea. I think I'm drinking a detox tea. I don't need to detox for any specific reason. It just seemed like a good thing to do, eat a lot of trash food, drink a lot of sugary drinks. I don't know if this is supposed to help with that, but people say, oh, just detox yourself. So I saw the word detox and I grabbed it. If you have some actual recommendations on how I can detoxify my system and get right and cleanse myself, and transcend to a new and better version of myself, let me know, man. Reach out to me because your boy is struggling. I need help. Let's see. We got the music playing right now. So far, it's been a good Tuesday, man. I think, having the day off yesterday it was okay. I mean, I didn't do nothing special, but, I just had a lot of time to just rest and relax, watch some funny shows. A lot of my people were at work, though, which I kind of felt bad for that because it's weird that, like we're all like kind of celebrating the day, when we're remembering our veterans and big shout out to them obviously. But it's weird that some places are like, yeah, you get the day off, and the other people are like, nah, fuck that, get your ass to work. Like I had people just looking at me like, day off, nigga, what? Well, who getting a day off? I'm like, man, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I just work for the school system. Like, we get hooked up, you get all those little holidays, but either way, it was a cool, chill day. Didn't do much over the weekend, which is always good, but there's just so much shit going on, man. Some of these stories that I see on a day-to-day basis, I can't even believe some of this stuff is real. One thing we are going to talk about is the obsession with this new Disney Plus streaming service. I think everybody's going wild and crazy over that. Because, it's nostalgia for a lot of people. You're getting to see all your favorite Disney movies. Obviously, DVDs and VHSs have been out the window. But for anybody who didn't have any of those, now if you want to pay $45 a month or whatever it is, Disney will let you stream all of their content. They have all the access to Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, National Geographic, and then all of their Disney stuff. So it seems pretty cool, but then there's also a part of me that's like, yo, most, if not all of the content you're probably seeking is on one of the other 9 streaming services we have. Like it's a money grab. Like, and it's as if Disney's not making enough money. I feel like their streaming service, they probably should have just gave that away for free. I feel like Disney's been getting money years and years and years. There's no way that this stuff is so expensive that y'all couldn't foot the bill for everybody for a year. I bet they could have covered it. It's just movies, bro. Like, you're really still wanting to charge people so they can view Brink or Johnny Tsunami, which were the 2 movies that I love the most on Disney Channel, or old Zorro episodes. That might be the only reason I go to do that, because I think Disney owns the right to all the old, like, black and white Zorro content, which that was a show that I loved growing up as a kid. So there's a part of me that's like, yo, maybe it's worth it. Then somebody said, yo, why don't you just get a Fire Stick? I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know what that is. I assume it's something, someone said it was like you plug it in kind of like a USB, I guess, and it has like the content on it. I don't know much about that type of shit, but maybe I'll just end up doing that. But whatever it's gonna take to watch my shows, Brink and Zorro and Johnny Tsunami, my movies, my shows, Meet the Deedles, I think that's a Disney movie. Shout out to Paul Walker. For any of you that really know me, I love Paul Walker. Consider him one of my people. He's like one of the fellas, Never met Paul. Didn't matter. Paul's still, hey, R.I.P. big dog. He's the great one. That's what I call him. One of my favorite actors. People are probably looking at this like, really, my nigga? Like, you think Paul Walker's a good actor? Yes, I do. As far as somebody being forced to play the same role over and over and over again, he did an excellent job. Paul, he was either a real cop, or he was an undercover cop, or he was a guy who was once a cop and then turned outlaw. That is his role in every single movie. It's one of those 3 variations. And he did an amazing job. So, shout out to Big Dog, R.I.P. the great one, Paul Walker. He's a genius, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, what do we got playing? We got Play No Games. That's an old record, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, featuring Fat Joe, Obi, Trick Daddy. I ain't really trying to play no games. You already know my name. Freaky Dicky, something. I don't know that part, but boo, something like that. I don't know. Don't worry about me singing in here. That shit was awful. Let's see. We got about 35, 40 seconds left. We're going to let the song finish playing, and then we're going to jump back into this content and actually get to some of these real stories. Right now, I've been watching. Uh, right now, I'm watching Memphis versus Oregon college basketball because that is upon us. They got a kid named James Wiseman who's supposed to be inactive because they're looking into him receiving improper benefits from Penny Hardaway, who's the coach of Memphis. Apparently, while Penny was just a booster for the school, I guess while this young man was in high school, he loaned his family like $11,000 so they could move to a different area. And then obviously, the kid moves, he goes to a new high school, and then he shows up to Memphis to play basketball for the team. His name is James Wiseman. James is the #1 player on the ESPN 300. So for all you sports fans, that's a big deal. That means he's expected to be the next #1 pick in the NBA draft. One of the problems is he might end up being suspended because of the fact that he received benefits from a person who was a booster at the school. So Penny might have played himself, but somehow they were able to get some type of like a kind of like a stay to play type of deal. I guess they got a judge to sign something, basically putting a halt to the suspension until they can kind of figure out what's going on. So that's why he's able to play at the moment. Seems pretty crazy to me. We're seeing a lot of these kids. We had another kid from Ohio State. It sounds like his story is a little bit crazier. He's just been suspended for 4 games because last year in 2018, he took out a small loan, borrowed money essentially, to make sure that his girlfriend or fiance, his significant other, wanted to make sure she was able to attend the game that they were going to. It was their bowl game. And apparently, last week, the NCAA was like, oh, we found out about this, and so now you're suspended. So basically, they didn't make it to where, even though, based on the player that he is, the school that he plays for, because he is also, I think for as far as football is concerned, they're considering him to be the next #1 pick potentially. But basically, they're looking at him, and although he helps make the school money, he helps the NCAA, receive unlimited, attention based on his play and, his team, all this good stuff. They didn't want to find a way for him to help get his family members to the game. So, being resourceful, like most people are, he went outside of them and he did that because he wanted to make sure his boo was there. Got to see your man play. And now my man is potentially going to miss the rest of his season, or probably the bulk of it. He probably will be back for their bowl game. But he's going to end up missing the rest of their season potentially, which could probably hurt his draft stock. And it was all because he wanted to get his girlfriend to come to the game. That type of shit is ridiculous. It's the NCAA. So I'm not surprised at all. Trash organization, reaping the benefits and making money off the backs of tons and tons of student athletes, and then punishing them when they try to do anything that might benefit them in any type of way. And if the NCAA doesn't get a cut of the benefits, then that's when they start to get all upset and get their panties in a bunch. To me, it's bullshit. But it's just the world that we live in. And it's just the way that they are able to stay rich and stay on top. You got to exert power, and you can't let people go out of bounds and do things that they want to do. Because if you feel like it might hurt your money or make you look bad, you got to put a stop to that. So they're doing what they got to do, I guess. But again, it's just a situation that is super corny. All right. We're going to cut this song short, and we're going to jump back into this shit. Hey, your boy is back. Man, let me just cut that off. That's my favorite part of the show, just turning this shit off. Go off. Don't keep playing, because I'm ready to talk. But anyway, while we were on break, I was just telling people that I was, watching some sports. I was kind of talking about both college football and basketball, They both have a couple of guys who are potential #1 picks in their respective sports who are, one is suspended, And the other one has gotten lucky that a court has decided to allow him to play while they look at the circumstances that surround his potential suspension. Both of these players have done what the NCAA deems as receive improper benefits, or, violate rules, policies, procedures, whatever you want to call it. The one gentleman who plays for Ohio State, he's a football player. He's been suspended because he just took out a loan and paid it back. I forgot to add that part for people who were, listening between the break. But he took out a loan and he paid it back. And the loan was to make sure that his girlfriend was able to come watch him play his bowl game in 2018. So since the situation has occurred, it has also been paid back. And then as of last week, they were just like, hey, guess what? You're suspended. This guy's potential #1 pick. So he probably won't be able to play the rest of his games until it's bowl game time, which could hurt his draft stock. And, there's his potential earnings as an NFL player could be hindered by this. And I know people probably would say, well, why does that really matter? There's consequences and this and that and this and that. But it's like, fam, if you borrow a couple $1,000s, you pay it back. The money that he could potentially lose by not being the #1 pick as projected, especially if that was going to happen. Now, if a team doesn't take a chance on him, you want to be one of those first 10 picks, or even just in the first round. The money is so much different from the first rounders to the second, and then so on and so on. So the NCAA could potentially be hurting his opportunity to make as much guaranteed money as he possibly can, especially in football, because all the money is not guaranteed. So you have guys who are literally risking their lives every single play. And yes, it's accurate to say that, because you could take a hit the wrong way and your whole career could be over. So yes, to some degree, you are risking your life. It's not like war and all these other things. I know people always go to that. Well, they're not really risking their lives. Look at the people fighting for the... Yeah, nigga, I get that. Don't say that to me. It's not that I don't care, but yes, I get it. But I can still say that to some degree, they're risking their lives. I had guys who I became friends with who ended up having a career shortened just to taking a bit, because they took a big hit in a big game on a kickoff, man. You're talking about a whole career over. Shout out to Ricardo Lockett. That's my guy. But you see that all the time. So you have guys who are risking their lives, and now this whole shit might end up being over for them. I don't really feel like that's fair. Now, for the young man playing basketball, Mr. James Wiseman, he plays for the Memphis Tigers. Might know Memphis as they've had some okay years when they had other coaches. I think they had John Calipari for a little bit. He took them to some, pretty good tournament appearances, and they had Derrick Rose, and they had some other guys, Chris Douglas Roberts, he played on the team. There's not a ton of guys who come from Memphis who go on to be very successful in the NBA, but Memphis is hoping to turn that program around, so they brought in, Anthony Penny Hardaway is now their coach, and they're hoping that with Penny being there and the connections that he has, that they'll probably get a ton of good players, and they actually have had some success with that. They got the ESPN 300. This guy, top 300. He's the #1 player. His name is James Wiseman. James is supposed to be suspended right now because apparently, before Penny was the coach but was just a booster for the school, because that's where he went to college, apparently Penny gave a loan to James's family for about $11,000 to help him move so he could go from one high school to another. And then Penny became the coach, and now James plays on the team where Penny coaches at. That looks bad when you are a booster for the school, because at the time, Penny was donating money to the school, which makes him a booster. Somehow they've been able to get a court and a judge to rule on behalf of the player, where he is still being allowed to play while he awaits the final decision about the circumstances that surround his potential suspension. So he's getting lucky. This is the first time I've ever seen this kid play. He looks like he's okay. He's just a big dude. He don't really look like he's doing a whole lot. I can't even tell if this is really him. He's just kind of standing. Okay. So I see what he does. He's hella long, athletic, and he just gets dunks on people. Probably is a rim protector, can block shots, but he looks long and skinny. He just reminds me of Greg Oden. So hopefully the young fella stays healthy. Hopefully he gets to play these games. I'm sure he'll be the #1 pick. Basketball isn't that much of a huge deal because all the money's guaranteed. I could still see him, even though he will probably be suspended, I could still see him being the #1 pick because NBA scouts are probably not going to care about this little money that Penny gave to him. They're going to want to take him, especially if it ends up being the Knicks who get the first pick, because their team is so damn garbage. They need this guy. So it wouldn't matter if he was out here probably, dealing or something like that, or, doing internet scams or whatever the case may be. They probably just want a quick little apology, meet with the owner, take a couple photos, show a little bit of remorse, and then we'll give you, the guaranteed contract so you can help our team get back to relevance. He's a lefty too. Okay, I see you, lefty. Anyway, let's get off the sports talk, man. That's just basically what I was doing, and I just feel like I had to kind of dive into that because I think those suspensions from the NCAA are kind of BS. I mean, bro, why are you really upset that your man borrowed some money, or his family did, in order for him to move? This is years ago. This didn't even happen when he was a part of the school or nothing. I think if it's happening while the player is affiliated with the school or the NCAA, they should do something about it. And I mean actually being enrolled at a school, not being like, oh, well, he's registered on the clearinghouse website and this and that, so that means he's a part of the NCAA. So then if his parents or whoever violate a rule, then you're looking at years down the line, they're handing out suspensions. Like, that shit is corny. They got to stop doing that type of stuff. But anyway, good luck to these young fellas. That is our sports talk. Let's get back into this wild shit. Now, I want to tell you something that's wild, because when I was in high school and middle school, I can't remember hearing about anybody smashing any of the teachers, and vice versa. Now, there were definitely some dirtbag ass male teachers that wanted to touch on all those little girls. So if some of that stuff happened, I had no idea. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't know any of the guys who smashed any of the female teachers. That just was not a thing when I was in high school. Now, anybody I went to high school with, if you're listening to this and you have some dirt or some tea that you would like to share with the rest of us and spill over a little bit, let me know. I'll tell the story on live. I don't care. It's not going to be a big deal because we're like 150 years removed from high school. At least that's what it feels like. So it's not going to matter at this point. If you hooked up with a teacher, hey, man, do your thing. But this shit right here is crazy. So this teacher, and I'm going to say, the photo, bruh, I want to see what the student looks like. Obviously, because they're under the age of 18, they won't give out the information of the student, which I think is awesome. Don't do that. We don't want to blast him. But I would like to see what this kid looks like. Mainly because when I seen what she looks like, I'm like, fam, why are you sleeping with your teacher? She looks like a fraud. And it's weird because what happened was, this is last week. So, this is in Charlotte. This teacher is accused of having a sexual relationship with a student. And then, God rest their souls. Then she was found dead in an apparent murder-suicide. She's 63, or was 63 years old. Her name was Emma Ogle. She had been suspended from school. Let me read this. She had been suspended from, I'm not going to say the high school name, but she was suspended with pay pending the outcome of the investigation into accusations that she had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old. She was 63, fam. So, first, I got to say this. Young man, you should have just waited. Because now this man, and I hope, I don't want to comment on his history, but either way, if this was how you wanted to just get your first time out of the way, this is not an ideal situation. So Emma was arrested on Halloween, but she did bond out. And then apparently, SWAT had to be called to her home, where they found her and her husband, Michael, dead inside the home. This is wild. So that means that Miss Emma wrecked her marriage in order to have an affair with a 17-year-old, a student that she was in charge of helping to mold and shape and help get him on track so he can graduate and become a strong, self-sufficient young adult. This shit is crazy to me, fam. I still can't get over the fact that she was 63 getting it in with a 17-year-old. Guys, please stop being so desperate for sex. Especially if you're young. If you play your cards right, life can be pretty long lasting. You will have many opportunities to have sex. Sleeping with your teachers, not ideal. If you're 17 and you're sleeping with a 63-year-old, definitely not ideal. So, this is crazy because I feel bad because I led off kind of disrespecting Emma. Obviously, you can hear there's a little bit of laughter in my voice because some of it is funny. And the only part that's funny is that I feel like since I left high school, I feel like 5 to maybe 10 times a year, I hear a story about a kid in high school sleeping with a teacher. And it's weird because it's viewed very differently when it's a male teacher, female student versus male student, female teacher. It's super creepy. And I'm not quite sure why these adults, and I could see how it does not excuse it, but you see some of these stories, and a lot of time these people, they're very, very lonely. They like the vibes that they get from people, and somehow they end up being involved with them. This happens on all levels. I'm not just saying just at school. I'm saying just in general with people. People allow their emotions, and it's fine because we all have them, but they allow their emotions to cloud their judgment. If you are a teacher, you have to know that regardless of the amount of stress you are under or how bad you hate your life outside of school, you have to know that being involved with these kids or having off hours contact with them, that is not the way that you relieve your stress. That will increase it and could potentially push you to the point where you're involved in a murder-suicide. This is crazy, man. Because like I said, I hear these stories all the time. But I feel like when I was in high school, we never heard about kids sleeping with teachers. Unless I just was like, just fucking around so much at school and being a damn idiot that I missed all that. I had never heard about that at the high school that I went to. So, if you and I went to high school together and you know something that I do not know, feel free to share. And maybe I'll bring it up on the show. Whoever this young 17-year-old is, man, fam, I hope that you will be okay, because this cannot be a pleasant experience to now be associated with for the rest of your life. You will always and forever be known as somebody who slept with their teacher and then had to hear about them on the news after they killed their husband and then took their own life. Or maybe he killed her, which is probably more likely if he found out that she was having an affair with a 17-year-old. God, that is crazy. That was crazy. Some of these teachers, man. So listen, man, if you have kids who are in high school, check in with your kids and ask them, like, yo, how are the teachers? Are they creepy? And you know what creepy looks like. You know what type of advice to give your kid. You gotta watch out, because some of these people are really lonely at home and they act like predators, and they're at school all day with your children. So, you know how kids are very impressionable and they think adults are so cool, blase, blase. Man, if they get involved and then you're not monitoring that shit and they're communicating with your child, listen, it could get messy. I would just listen. Communicate with your kids. Don't be afraid to check in. There is no such thing as overstepping boundaries with your kid to some degree. I think within reason. I think you can give them their space and give them the respect, but also make it clear that like you're not here for all that BS and protect them. Because you never know, man. You don't want these grown ass adults reaching out to your kids. And trust me, I've worked with kids and in childcare for hella long. And every place I've been to, they tell you that you are not to have off hours contact with children. That's most, if not all, of the childcare services, schools, and other things on our soil in America. That is the situation. Do not let a child tell you any differently. Don't let an adult tell you any differently. If they're having off hours contact with your child, that's probably overstepping a boundary, which could lead to potential grooming behavior, which puts them in a situation like so. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. My damn tea is getting cold. So, I did want to touch on, this was crazy. So, last week, the father of Tatiana Jefferson, the woman who was shot in her home by cops in Fort Worth, this is probably late last month, her father has passed away. I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, but I wouldn't be surprised if he literally just died from a broken heart. I'm sure they're going to come out and say there are other causes, all that type of stuff, but man, imagine losing your daughter under those circumstances. And you never know what his mental state was prior to that situation happening. You never know how someone's really feeling, but this is crazy. So, big shout out to him. R.I.P., sir. It's a shame that you won't be here to see your daughter receive the justice that she deserves. Hopefully she gets it. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it probably is not likely in this country, but you never know. Maybe this one was going to be, the catalyst for change. We never know, but R.I.P. to him, man. That's kind of devastating to hear. Just because, man, life is, it's just here and then it's not, which is pretty crazy. What else we got? Last week I saw a thing where Dr. Phil, I think I touched on this on the show. Dr. Phil has an episode airing where he apparently is dealing with a mom and her young son. The young son is having some issues at home with, violence and, drug use and just a lot of the typical stuff that a lot of young teen boys go through. Dr. Phil is not a real doctor, just so we're all clear on that. I'm saying that like I've always known, but I really did not know that until like a couple weeks ago. I thought he was actually a doctor, which is very misleading. But I'm sure most people knew that. I just didn't know because I don't watch his show. I just thought this was interesting because I guess on the show, because it's a previously recorded thing and then they air it. So I think it's supposed to air this week if it hasn't already aired by the time you're hearing this. But it sounds like when he's talking to the mother, he's starting to shout out what he deems as facts about marijuana and its effects that it has on people. And he is strongly implying that the reason the young teen is violent, has these outbursts and reactions and all this stuff is because he smokes weed. Now, there are a lot of people who strongly disagree with that. The article I read even has, medical professionals come out and kind of discredit a lot of the things that he was saying. I think this is one of those times where, because he has a show and he has power, I'm sure that even though there are people who review all this stuff before they give it to him and before they put it on the prompts, I'm sure there's a part of him that he wants to try to use his platform and, the strength of his name to try to really discourage the young teen from continuing to, follow in the path that he is following. And so one of the ways that he does that is he over exaggerates the negative effects that marijuana has on you. Now, I'm not a scientist. I don't have all the statistics. I'm sure that there, you can look at a lot of things and be like, well, if you overuse and abuse something, it could lead to X, Y, Z. You can say that just about almost everything. Um, I think this is one of those ones where I would, if I was to hear him say this and I was in nearby, I'd probably be like, bro, you're out of your mind. None of that stuff is real. I know a lot of people who smoke hella weed and they are not violent people. So stating that marijuana is basically like a direct line to violence, I think that you're following, your fans, whoever, and even the young teen involved in the situation, you're doing them a disservice by like making those claims when it's not real. So I thought that was very interesting because you have a guy who obviously is a fake doctor. And I'm sure Dr. Phil is very knowledgeable. It's not hard to read books, have conversations with people, learn things, retain information, and then be able to say it back to other people. That's not a hard thing to do. So I'm not surprised that any of this has happened. Like I said, he's using his platform to try to, convince this young teen to kind of get their life straight. So there is a part of me that's like, I don't want to go too hard on him and call him out his name or anything, because I can understand in that moment what he may have been trying to do. But Phil, bro, it's 2019. If you were thinking that you could go on your show and say a bunch of things that aren't true and people weren't going to pull out their phones and fact check you, bro, you're wrong about that. If anything, what you should have done is you should have said, well, I don't have all of the facts, but here are some examples that I might use, and actually go out and find examples that you could use to show that, hey, potential use and abuse of this could maybe lead to this. It's not likely that you would have found anything, but that also probably would have stopped you from making this outrageous and bogus claim, because you sounded like an idiot. You sounded like somebody who does not deserve to have the letters DR in front of their name. You don't deserve that, because there's a lot of high respect and praise that comes along with, becoming a doctor and having that moniker. But you, my friend, you're a bogus, janky ass white dude who just has a show, apparently. And you get money. I'm not gonna disrespect that. Like, you had a very successful show for a lot of years. Props to you, but this just kind of shows me that, like, the stuff that you're probably talking about, now we're gonna actually have to go behind you and check your work. You're the kid, you're me. You were the kid who turned in the paper, didn't really do the work, just wrote down random answers and then went back to your desk so you could sit there and play and throw shit at the damn window. And now the teacher has to continue to monitor you. We, the people in America who have social media and phones and all this, we are the teacher. And now we're going to have to go behind you and check your work all the time, because you're just talking out of your ass. You're writing down answers that aren't real. You're just bullshitting. So, Phil. Also, Dr. Phil has made it very clear that he himself has never, ever smoked weed. Dr. Phil, I urge you, try it before you go out on a freaking limb and start shouting out all these things that you do not know about. That would probably be in your best interest, fam. Because, like I said, you just sound like a bozo. On to another bozo. You guys know who Jordan Jones is? Jordan Jones is this young lady who, and RIP to Alexis Crawford. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so letters get blurred together. But Jordan Jones apparently had some beef with her roommate, who was Alexis Crawford, and she's been charged in the death of Alexis. So it looks like they're trying to say that she killed her. And it sounds like, from a lot of the stuff that I read, it sounds like she choked her out, and it was probably just because she was jealous or something. I don't know, man. I wasn't there. I do not know, but it looks like over the weekend or sometime after last Thursday, she had been arrested and been charged. So I'm sure that's a huge relief for the family, all the friends of Miss Alexis, RIP. losing a life so young. And it's like college girls, bro. Like, this is, whatever this was over, it could not have been that serious. And I wish that, even though when kids go to college, they think that they're so grown up, but there's still so much for them to learn. Once you get out of college and you start to age up and you get closer to approaching your 30s, you start to realize how getting frustrated and losing your cool over stuff that's out of your control is so pointless. These young kids need to learn how to redirect their energy. All of this could be prevented very easily if some of these young kids knew how to handle their emotions better. Schools probably need to offer more classes and training and around this type of stuff. How to take care of yourself, your mental health, and how to be a support for others, and how to have empathy, how to have, all of these things, and how not to allow the things that you can't control to get the best of you, to where you end up committing horrible mistakes. Like, I saw a story where there's a young man, this will blow your mind. This young guy is probably going to prison for the rest of his life because he killed his sister over the Wi-Fi password. The Wi-Fi password. Now, my sister and I, we have fought over some wild shit. And I even, like a few episodes ago, I told a story about how when me and my sister were fighting. What we were fighting over. Me and Gabby were arguing over what channel the TV needed to be on. I don't know why we weren't just outside playing. Could have just left the shit alone and whatever the case may be. But we got into it. But imagine losing your cool over someone withholding the Wi-Fi password from you. These young kids, they're so stuck in their phones that they're willing to kill for it. So my man's life is ruined. And he took the life of his own sister. So now his mother, father, anyone who was directly involved with the family, and even indirectly to some degree, their lives are ruined because my man was upset because she wouldn't give him the password to the internet. Fam, just burn the data, bro. You really out here killing for the Wi-Fi password? We gotta do better. Young black man, whole life ruined over the freaking Wi-Fi. Young black lady, whole life ruined over probably some issue that was probably stemming from jealousy or whatever you were upset with your roommate. You killed your own roommate, fam. Why? You took her. You eliminated her from having the ability to make choices going forward, all because you were in a bad mood and you felt some type of way about something. Young people, I assure you, it's not worth it. Find a way to repurpose your energy. It's not worth it to be in petty disputes with people. Let me stop. Sometimes it's worth it. Like, when I'm dragging people on the show, those are times when it's worth it. But there's no physical harm that comes from that. No, I'm not putting my hands on people. They're definitely not gonna put their hands on me. It's not gonna get to that point. Sometimes you're gonna get dragged a little bit. You're gonna get roasted. That's a part of life. But getting so frustrated about things that are not in your control to the point that you lose all sense of how to handle and conduct yourself as a young adult or an adult period, you allow yourself to get to that point and you take a life over it, fam, you are bugging. That's unreal. Unreal. And it happens way too often. Crazy. When we talk about crazy things, one of the things that I always find fascinating, and this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight, because we might just keep rolling through, honestly. There's just so much stuff. I think we're going to do one more break, but I'm just going to keep yapping because I'm being annoying and I don't care. But these stories are crazy to me. So again, I have noticed that I see this a lot more since I left high school. There's altercations, between students and teachers. Now, This story is crazy because this is about a substitute teacher. So we realize what month it is, right? It's only November, so school's been going on for a couple months, but it recently just started, right? So this lady is a substitute teacher. She is new at this, y'all. When I say new, I'm talking like fam just got the job about a month ago. Um, and let's see, what is her name? So this is back in Texas, obviously. So this is 32-year-old, 32 years old, 32-year-old Tiffany Langford facing charges of second-degree felony aggravated assault after allegedly assaulting an unnamed student. Obviously, again, these kids are under 18, so they're never going to put their names on there, that's good. Don't blast them. If you see the video of this shit is wild. So Tiffany is a substitute. She's hovering over the young lady at her desk. And yes, the young lady does take a swipe at her. But it's after what looks like, when Tiffany has already kind of struck the child one time. So you can't be mad at the kid for defending herself. Now, young students everywhere who might be listening, I know you guys are young. You don't have it all figured out. Let me give you a strong piece of advice. Do not ever take a swing at somebody from a seated position. You will get your ass whooped. Do not do it. If you need to stand up, that way you can move your hips and you can duck and dodge and do all these things. If you're sitting down and then you try to take a swipe at somebody, you're probably going to get washed up. They have leverage over you. They have higher ground. It's just simple, man. Just do not swing at somebody while you're sitting down. That was a mistake for this young student because on the video, Tiffany took it back to the hood. As soon as old girl took a swipe at her, Tiffany started giving her these hands. Now again, she's 32 years old. This is a student. It sounds like from witness accounts that the student told Tiffany to shut up. Tiffany said, "No, you shut up." And then the teacher got in the young lady's face and put her hand on her chest and her other hand on her arm. This is a 10th grader. The student then swung because she was in her face and pressing her. This is a direct quote on this little article. And then Tiffany put her glasses down, and then like I said, when you watch the video, she's swinging. Like, it's not like if you're watching this video, you see how I do my little fake air punches. She was really trying to like I'm taking notes from Floyd and Mike and trying to turn the wrist over. She was doing the most, like trying to knock the girl out. Again, Tiffany's a substitute, fam. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't remember any of our substitute teachers in high school being ready on a moment's notice to throw hands. That just was not a thing. So, obviously, Tiffany was arrested immediately, and the student was taken to the local hospital for evaluations. This is crazy because one of the things I read is said that Tiffany had just started, I think she was like a part-time sub, and then it was like a couple of days prior to the incident, she had just become like a full-time sub. So you're taking steps up in your career as a teacher to kind of elevate yourself. You're going to go from a part-time sub to a full-time, and then maybe next year you're going to be somebody that we really need in the school system because the kids connect with you and you're going to be great. You're going to do good things. Background check, she passed it, all of that. Does not have a record, no history of none of this. Some of the students are saying that the young 10th grader in question called her the N-word. That doesn't excuse her behavior because, again, you're 32 years old. This is a 10th grader. You have to have a little more strength and self-discipline when it comes to taking insults versus what a child has. We expect kids to react unfavorably when they're disrespected or mistreated because they don't really know how to handle their emotions. But you as a 32-year-old, you should have a tighter grip on yourself and your self-control to not end up in this. Tiffany, you gotta do better, girl. You were probably on your way to something good. Now you're on your way to something jail. All right? Tiffany, this is wild. Fighting a 10th grade student. Y'all are bugging. Again, I'm blown away because I don't ever remember seeing this stuff when I was growing up. I don't remember students fighting, kids. Now, there was one teacher that I remember wanting to fight in high school. And but he was barely even a teacher. I think when I was in high school, he was like a student teacher, like just finishing up college and was like working on the degree. And I think now at the high school that I went to, he actually is a teacher. And I know there were some little issues that I know he was having with my brother's younger brother. I'm not gonna say Buddy's name, because we got it all cleared up. But he is somebody that I have been one to whoop his ass for mad long. And I will say, I'm not threatening him. I'm just saying, I want to highlight my growth as a man. Because if I was still the same person, I might be looking for every and any opportunity to go back to the place that I'm from and maybe run into him and then run his fade. Because he was that much of a punk. Even when I was in high school, he was a punk. There were a couple of guys that you might want to be like, yo, we want to whoop your ass. But at the end of the day, it was never really that serious because, look, you see them for a few hours at school. You don't have a whole lot of interaction with them. You're in a class for 50 minutes and then you're on to the next. I feel like a lot of kids, one, we probably were scared because we were kids. We weren't really going to fight these grown-ass adults. I was one of those kids. I will fight an adult. I didn't care. I probably would have got my ass whooped. But hey, for me, it would have just been based on principle. To me, it would have been worth it in my head. It would not have been worth it overall, but I probably would have thought that it was. But most of us knew that it was not that serious. We were not about to fight our teachers. And you definitely weren't thinking that the teachers were going to fight you. Now, I've had a couple of teachers get in my face, and I politely let them know, if you want to run it, let's do it. Was I a little bit scared? Yeah. Because if you think somebody's going to steal off on you, my first instinct is to always hit people before they hit me. But when you're in a school situation, like, you don't want to just strike the teacher and out of, fear of thinking that they might hit you. It was not likely that you were going to get hit by a teacher. So I think people just let that shit go. But now, as we've progressed over time, you see more and more of these videos where students are fighting teachers. I saw a video this morning where this is crazy, this young lady literally punches her teacher in the face and says to her something along the lines of, don't talk to me like that, or don't talk back to me. It's a kid talking to an adult, telling the adult to basically watch the way that they're speaking to the child. And the child struck the lady, and the lady didn't do nothing. It's crazy. We have allowed our kids and a lot of our adults to get way too bold, disrespect both ways, whether it be from the child to the adult or from the adult to the child. It's out of hand. Y'all can't be surprised if people are taking swings at you when you're being hella disrespectful. We got to stop with that. I mean, shit, I led the show off by talking about the old lady getting slammed at the freaking Popeyes. That comes from being disrespectful. People really act shocked. I just can't believe that he hit me or that she hit me. What you mean? You got too close. You said something very disrespectful. Some people are not planning to rely on the cops or any of that stuff. They want to get it in right then and there. So if you want to disrespect them, they want to smack you down in that moment. And people are really not afraid of the consequences. Tiffany, you're probably going to do time behind this, and you're probably not going to be a teacher anymore. So, shit, fam, I hope it was worth it. It doesn't seem worth it, but, I mean, shit, you never know. Some of these people really believe that this shit is cool. But to me, it's not, man. I just don't understand why would you want to do that? Regardless of what a 10th grader says to you, they're kids. They don't know any better. You got to laugh that off, collect that check, and go home, man. Like, shit, I've worked with some students where I'm like, the way they talk to me, and based on how my anger is set up, fam, if I was that guy, There's no way I would have been able to do this job for the amount of years that I've been doing it. Hell no. And even at my own workplace, I'm known for having a hella crazy attitude and being somebody that has no fear of other people and how they may feel about a situation. I tell it like it is. And I've been known to cuss some people out at the job from time to time because sometimes it just get like that. But like when I think about kids, like when kids disrespect me, I just laugh. I laugh at that. The thing that you can't do with kids is you got to be careful about how you engage them. And we've all made mistakes. I ain't going to act like I'm perfect. I mean, shit, there have been some times where, like, you know, in order to maintain balance and power, especially when you have a group of a lot of kids, you might use some unsavory language. Nothing that's crazy out of line or directly directed at anybody. Crowd control is different. But anytime I've ever been one-on-one, or even if it's 2-on-1 with a kid, you know, with another adult present in the room, the way that you get through to a kid is not by putting your hands on them or degrading them or disrespecting them. Man, some of these kids probably get enough of that shit at home. Shit, I was one of those kids. Adults have their choices. You disrespect me, you're gonna get it right back. But like a kid, come on, man. How you look as a grown-ass adult going toe-to-toe with some young child and letting that child's behavior get you out of your character so far that now you've lost your job, you're going to do time, it will be impossible for you to find another job because now you're going to have to check it on the application that you have charges or you have a record. If you had any hopes and dreams of continuing to do great work working with kids, that will be out the fucking window. Because now when they run your background, you're going to be known as the lady who put your hands on a small child. It all ends up not being worth it. There's no reason to do that shit, people. So, parents, please educate and coach your kids on how they should talk to adults. Just because you never know what people are going through and you do not want your kid to come home all smacked the fuck up from a substitute teacher at their school. Because I know how some of you parents are. You're going to be all huff and paw. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do this and do that. But like, you know you're not going to be able to do that because then you're going to be putting yourself in the same type of situation that teacher has now put herself in. Or the same thing like that one mother that we talked about on the show last week. Quick update for you guys, everybody that was listening. The mom who decided that it would be cool to whoop her son at school and then tough talk him after she embarrassed him and excessively beat him. Child services pulled up to the house, took all the kids. I'm sure if she had a job, she no longer has a job. Life is going to be significantly harder for her because of her actions. Now, I'm somebody that it's taken me a long time to learn about, hey man, there's consequences for your actions. Something I've always known, but it's taken me a long time to actually be mindful of it before I allow myself to get in situations that might cause me to face severe consequences. For some people, it does take a while. Do not allow yourself as an adult to fall into that trap and still be in that space where you're making those horrible ass decisions. Don't be like Tiffany. Horrible. Man, I think what we're going to do is we are going to take a short break. Man, we're through the first hour and a half. We breezed through, man. I think our Tuesdays are always easy shows, man. You know, we're just getting started in the week. We're coming off the weekend. There's always lots of shit to talk about. But it's been a good show so far. So I appreciate you for tuning in. All the new followers, shout out to joining the following, man. This is going to be something that's cool. It's going to take off. We're going to all be lit. And then we're going to have a big ass pizza party after we, hit 1 million subscribers. So help me get to that point. That way I can buy pizzas for everybody. I might even fly some of y'all out to just come have pizza. Because I might be that cool by the time we hit 1 million followers and subscribers. So help me get to that point if you're looking to enjoy pizza with the Pizza King, and that's me. But yo, this is the Meaningful Jackson Show. I am your host, Meaningful Jackson. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to take a short break, and then we'll jump right back into it, man. We got some 8 Ball and NJG coming up. I got the J-Kwon as promised. I know some of y'all been dying to hear that, which is probably just me. Because I love J-Kwon. I don't care what anybody says. That's St. Louis's best rapper. And I know there's a lot of people, Nelly and Chingy and so, and then that other person. There's a lot of people out there, but J-Kwon was probably the hottest rapper they've ever had. If y'all want to argue that, hit me up. But anyway, we're going to get this music cracking, and then we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in, little dusty ass bitch. This is a wild show, man. It's starting to get a little hot in here. I probably should crack a window open. But then again, I'm too lazy to get my fat ass up to do that. I'm just going to sweat a little bit, and then we'll be done soon. Man, we only got about 25 more minutes, and then the show will be over, which is kind of sad, because maybe we should just start doing this for about 3 or 4 hours. I think I got enough energy and gas in me to keep it going, man. Like, I don't feel like I'll be running out of fuel, so I would love that. But I also think if we're gonna do that, people gotta start paying for it, because that's time dedicated to me having to sit here sweating and being, doing all this stuff. But one day we'll get to that point. That's my hope. I wouldn't mind sitting and talking to people for hours and hours. I think that'd be dope. So we're gonna try to turn this into like a real TV talk show. And then I can just put a doctor in front of my name like Phil's fat ass and just be like, look, man, I can give all y'all advice because I'm a doctor. Imagine that. Dr. Meemkle Jackson has a terrible ring to it. Be the worst doctor of all time. Yo, our next story is pretty crazy. I'm a little bit shocked because the former commissioner of the NBA has spoken out. He's saying that they should remove the ban for marijuana. David Stern. Oh my God, I can't believe it. The same guy that, was dropping the hammer on folks when they're smoking weed and this and that. Like, now you're all for it. You know what probably happened? He retired from his job. He got a little taste of the weed and was like, you know what, man? Light that up, man, real quick. This shit really ain't that bad, man. We should just let all of them do it. And like, man, too bad I don't have that job anymore. I could probably change some of these rules. I'm sure if he was still the commissioner of the league, the weed thing would have been all legal. They probably show people, you know how they show players walking up through the tunnel? They probably show them walking up through the tunnel, burning up a blunt, and probably wouldn't care. It'd probably make the ratings go up. Like, no, look at these niggas are so wild. They smoke weed on camera. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some wild shit like that happened. Or it probably wouldn't happen in the NBA. If the NBA had a league that popped up that was kind of like how the XFL is to the NFL, if the NBA had a league like that, I could see them trying to find a way, or after every state legalizes it and they do all these things, I could see them like having people come out of the tunnel as they enter the stadium. I could see them walking up to the locker room, burning up a blunt and not feeling bad about it, and probably ashing it on somebody's forehead, like just not giving a shit, bro. Because that's just the type of world we live in, where people want to do crazy, eccentric things like that. And I'm giving it 10 years. 10 years, and I bet you something like that will happen. You'll see people on TV in 10 years getting high and no one cares. I mean, I'm sure you see it now, but I'm talking about like outright, like news anchors, sport. It's gonna happen. You're gonna see it start to get legalized everywhere, and then people are just gonna be doing it. The same way that you have people who like drink alcohol on TV, it's gonna turn into that, bro. People are not gonna care. I think people already don't care, which, I'm somebody that thinks like, look, everybody makes their choices. Everything is okay in moderation. Do what you feel is gonna have you stay in a good space. Do what you feel is gonna be best for your life. It's your life. They're your choices. As long as nothing that you're doing is impacting and affecting people around you in a horrible, negative way, I think something like people's use of marijuana is not anybody else's concern. If you're still able to show up to your job every day, get everything done, you're still, communicating with people, and it's not turning you into where you're being an asshole on a daily basis, like, do whatever you do. If that's how you relieve stress, that's how you, help with pain management, do what you gotta do. I'm not somebody who ever will care about that. And I'm very confused as to why so many people care about it. Oh shit, they got the J-Kwon playing. Hood Hop. If you ain't heard that in a minute, download that shit. That's a classic record, man. I'm actually gonna put it on the title of the show on the YouTube channel and say we talked about J-Kwon. Shout out to J-Kwon. He had 2 hits, Hood Hop and Tipsy. Which one do you think was better? I bet most people will say Tipsy because Tipsy was like the radio hit. But for me, Hood Hop will always be the cut. It's got a slapping ass beat. Sounds good on some speakers in the system. I mean, I don't have that in my current car, but all the years that I did, I always had a Hood Hop bang. Coming down the street, it's the new improved Hood Hop, I was around a whole bunch of white folks. They probably had no idea what Hood Hop was, but I thought I was keeping it gangsta. But yeah, got the J-Kwon playing. We're going to talk about the J-Kwon, or we're going to let them listen to J-Kwon. We're done talking about it. But we're going to let them listen to that, and then we're going to jump back into the show. Like I said, we got about 10 more minutes of me talking, and then we're going to go back into another music break, and then they're going to end up closing out the show. By then, this recording will be cut off, and I will be in the bathroom because I got to take a pee-pee. But I'm going to wait because I've already been waiting the hour and 40 minutes. What's 20 more minutes? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't want to cut J-Kwon off early. I feel like that would be a disrespect to J-Kwon. Right now, I'm just always going to update you on what I'm watching. I'm always watching sports, man, because that keeps me in a good mood. But I'm watching Portland, Trailblazers versus the Kings. Sacramento, I wonder what their record is. Luke Walton is their coach, former Laker head coach. I hear that the Kings are still trash. They got some okay players. We got Dame out here. Dame's been doing work. If y'all saw the other night, Dame had 60, and they took the L, man. I couldn't believe that. You know how mad a person gotta be? They out there, they get 60 and take the loss. Bro, that happened to me in a game once, in a rec league game. Went off for 60, and we lost. I was tight. Best game I probably ever played. Nah, not the best game I ever played. It's definitely my highest scoring output, but it was not the best game that I ever played. I think I only got the 60 because I was like literally getting every shot. There was no one else on the team that was worth a shit. So the only chance we had of winning was me. Since there was 0 chance of winning, it was like, hey, everybody just get up shots, and I just happened to be the only one who was making them. So I had a good night, but we took the L. So, scoring 60 when you lose literally means nothing because without a victory, what's the point of even playing? If you're not showing up when you play sports and hoping to win, you're out there for the wrong reasons. If you just showed up just to get some exercise, that's trash because that's not how sports should be viewed. It's not just an exercise thing. You got to win, folk. All right. Oh, cut that off, man. That Hood Hop. That was my record. Oh, my God. It's that new improved Hood Hop. Anyway. Yo, man, we are through the first hour and 45 minutes. We're having a lot of success with the show. We're getting a lot of good feedback, and even the feedback that has been negative. I love it because either way, you still tuned in. You still heard enough of the show or watched it or talked to somebody about it. You still did that enough to the point where it made you want to reach out to me and tell me that you either liked it or you thought my shit sucked. I literally had somebody say, yo, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I think your show sucks. And I was like, yo, I appreciate that because you still heard that shit. So it doesn't matter, even if it sucks. I thought the show last week sucked, and I'm the one doing it. It's not going to bother me if you tell me my shit sucks, man. I'll be feeling that same thing sometimes. I'll look back at some of these, and I'll be like, fam, this episode's garbage. It happens. Not every cut on the CD is going to be good. People still love it. They'll still go out and get it because you want to hear it. There are still going to be some people who want to hear it. It is what it is, man. But anyway, our next little story is pretty interesting because again, it's a sports topic, but it's a like a drug related thing, which sounds crazy. I probably shouldn't have said it like that, but it's interesting to hear that the former commissioner of the NBA thinks that the NBA should remove the ban on marijuana. That would be very groundbreaking and crazy if that was to happen, even if it started in the NBA. Because if it happens in the NBA, you will start to see it happen in other high-level sports leagues. You'll probably start to see it potentially in college. And I only say that because, obviously, if multiple states, if we still have people continue to legalize it, and then obviously if you're over 21, if you're playing in these sports leagues or doing anything of the sort, and even at a lot of jobs you're seeing where they're saying that they can't, base their decisions of employment on whether or not you pass or fail, the marijuana portion of your test. They're excluding that because a lot of states are legalizing it. So how are you going to be mad at somebody for doing something that they're told that they can do? But if it was to happen in the NBA, it'd be pretty groundbreaking. So it was kind of interesting to see that, former Commissioner David Stern thinks that they should remove the ban on marijuana. I would be interested to know what he would have done if he still had this job. I feel like all these little changes in instant replay and adding the coaches challenge, I don't feel like any of those would have even been a thing. I think David would have just been like, so we're at the owners meetings. What's good with the weed thing? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I think what happened is I think when a lot of these older white guys, when they used to take the stance of like, no one can do that. We can't have that. Drugs are so bad. We don't want them in our league and da-da-da-da-da. I think a lot of those guys probably had never done it. They heard little stupid ass stories that the DARE teacher used to tell you. And y'all remember, y'all were in the little DARE things. Y'all had that little janky ass t-shirt with the red letters on. I had that shit too. And I remember teachers and the people who were instructing telling us how horrible all this stuff was and how if we did this, our lives were going to be ruined and this and that. And fam, I'm here to tell you, it's not that serious. Now, I'm only talking about the weed thing. Other man-made obviously we don't want anybody, doing meth or anything. I mean, I would recommend not even being close to people who are trying to do meth and heroin and black tar and all of these little crazy ass things that people like to do. But at the same time, those are the choices that people make. If they want to ruin their lives, that's up to them. But I could definitely see where maybe David finally got a taste of the weed and was like, yo, this shit isn't that bad. I feel pretty chill. And my back don't hurt as bad anymore. I'm a little bit hungry. But hey, it is what it is. And now he's probably like, you know what? Probably has conversations with a lot of his little golf buddies and other people at the country club. And he probably sits there and he says, you know what, man, this shit probably ain't that bad. And then he goes and he pulls his one hitter out of his shirt pocket. And it's probably something fancy, probably has his name inscribed on it or whatever the case may be. But, he pulls out his one hitter, takes a hit, probably maybe repacks it, passes it around, and tries to get his other friends on board. I'm assuming that that's what happened because I just like to make things up on, imagine if I walked in and they were all in a room and this was the conversation they were having, this would be pretty funny to me. Because that's usually how it happens. You always start to see the people who try to take the hardest stance and try to say no about a situation. They always come back sometime later and they're like, well, it really isn't that bad. And there isn't anything wrong with that. I'm not shaming him for maybe backtracking. I'm sure at one point in his life, it was a hard no on drugs in the NBA. But I think when you have all of these people who are constantly trying to tell you about how, the benefits of it and how it assists with their mental health and with, pain management and this and that, all of these things. I feel like if you really believe that a lot of those things are very important to the well-being of other humans around you, you have to start to look at it from a different lens, and you can't just put your hat on and say, I have a firm stance and I think that these drugs are bad and they're a no-no, or you don't want to be like Dr. Phil's ass and be like, it's going to lead to violence and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I feel like, fam, most of the people that I know that smoke marijuana are not doing it because they have any intention of being violent. They're trying to chill, they're trying to be mellow, they're trying to just enjoy calm, relaxing environments and be around good people, you know, and eat a hell of a lot of snacks. That's it. I don't think people are like, oh yeah, like I'm getting ready to go do this murder. The only way I get hyped up is if I smoke smoke a blunt or something like that. Like, that's not how shit goes. So you're gonna start to see a lot of these powerful, rich white men, they're gonna start to really push to make sure that this thing is legal. And it's probably only happening because they want to be able to smoke without the consequences. But the only way they can do that without it becoming a scandal is if they make it clear that they're okay with everybody else doing it, because then it makes them feel better about doing it. So, David, burn your blunts, bro. Ain't nobody tripping on you. Do what you gotta do, man. If that makes you happy, it is what it is, man. Because I'm sure there's other people who are going to be smoking all damn day. Quick news update for all you Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to shout out one of my favorite shows. We've got a new season. February 6th. I love that. NBC. Shout out to NBC for, you know, hosting a couple of the greatest shows of all time. Well, there's more than a couple. What do they have? They had The Office, I think, right? NBC had that. Parks and Rec, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. These are three of my favorite shows. I mean, they're all just stupid funny. So hopefully this new season is really good. Hopefully it's not the last. Man, if you haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you won't be sorry. It's funny. And I feel like if you watch it and you try to tell me that it sucks, like, that's cool. That's your opinion. It'll probably be best if we don't ever speak again. I'd be okay with that. It wouldn't be a huge loss if you're somebody that says that show sucks. It is what it is. Well, I'll make a decision about your future within my life after we talk about your experience with the show. So you better come to me with a good report, because I feel like if it's anything less than, oh man, this shit was dope, it was stupid funny, if it's anything less than that, I might be like, hey, now I'm questioning your entire existence. It happens. Man, what time is it? It's almost time to go, which I'm very sad about. Like I was saying earlier, we could probably tack on another hour to this, and I would be totally fine with that. I don't think Boss Lady would let me do that, and it probably would be good to make sure that I don't start thinking all wild like that. We have a lot of other goals that we need to accomplish before we try to extend the time on the show. But so far, it's pretty cool. And I'm pretty lit. So, man, I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I think what we're about to do, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I really gotta go to the bathroom, because I've been holding in a pee for forever. So, we're gonna get into this music. We're gonna close it out with there's two tracks that are queued up. Both of them have Kanye West on, the old Kanye. It's not this, wannabe disciple ass. I shouldn't say wannabe, because if this is the path that he is choosing to follow because he feels like God has spoken to him and chosen him to now become the vessel that he would like, and do the whole thing, fam, you do you. I am not a fan of this version of Kanye West, or the last 6 versions that we have had. It's not the same Kanye. Fam really just tried to give us a trash rap album, and all he did was change the genre, and he called it gospel. And now he's claiming to be like a preacher, pastor type of deacon type of guy. Fam, I want you to do you. I want you to be happy, but I'm questioning this almost more than the moon landing thing. It's more likely that we went to and maybe have even housed people on the moon. It's more likely that has happened, than us ever seeing the old Kanye West again. Because this guy is like a completely different, random person who has just the weirdest objectives in life. It's crazy to me the type of person that he has become. Kanye, that album was not good, man. It's a garbage rap album that you tried to say was gospel music. Like, come on, bro. I literally know that you can do better. We've literally seen you do better. You're choosing to not, you're doing the bare minimum. And it's pathetic. So, we're going to end the show there. I'm going to pick Good Life. We're going to start off with that. We're going to let the show run. Hey, man, it was fun being here with y'all. I will be back Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the Meanquil Jackson Show. I hope y'all have a good rest of the week until I see you, which will be Thursday, like I just said. So enjoy it, man. Holla at your boy. Be sure to like and subscribe. Give all the follows, share, tell all your friends. Do whatever it is you need to do. Man, I'll see y'all on Thursday. Let's get it. Man. Oh, let me get my fat ass up out of here. Time to go to the bathroom. It was a live show. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you on Thursday.